7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother. What we do here is go back.
Hey everybody, Steven Jensen and Throwback, aka Pat, aka Throwback 978, aka Throwback 27 on YouTube, is back here. Second appearance here on the I almost call it the Fight Talk podcast here at here on Jessi Davin's YouTube channel. I hope Jessie's here in the chat. Obviously she's very busy. For those of you who normally tune in and see me and Jessi here talking, obviously she's on maternity leave right now. A lot of stuff going on with her. We're looking forward to getting her back soon. But until then, I've been having some revolving guests on, and this is Pat's second appearance. So welcome back, Pat, and let everyone know how you're doing.
Well, it's not snowing yet. That's a good thing. But it's brutally cold in Massachusetts, that's for sure. Other than that, it's just, one day at a time. And the funny part is that you called everything on TakeOver, which is awesome.
Yeah, I had a good takeover.
Did you win Wrestle Rumble? Because I know you do that sometimes. So imagine if you picked all of that.
Unfortunately, Wrestle Rumble didn't have a pick'em contest for takeover. So if they would have, I would have done really well though. So I'm hoping that transfers over into today. And thank you for mentioning Wrestle Rumble. I completely forgot. I have some Elimination Chamber uh, whatever pick'em contest giveaways I can give away today. I'm gonna give you one, Pat, for being on the show today. So you're gonna be entered, and then I'm gonna get Jessi one. So I'll give away 2 more. Like if there's people here in the chat, I know we're here on like kind of a random time. Don't do Wednesdays that often. So if there's anyone in here, if there's anyone who wants to, hit us up in the chat, basically first come, first serve. If you want a Wrestle Rumble entry, I'm giving 2 away, so I'll just pick 2 random people in the chat today. Corey Hummel already hit us with a super chat. I want to address real quick before we get into the show. Thank you very much, Corey. I was actually talking to him in direct messages before the show, and I think he was just about to go to sleep. He has like the weirdest work schedule ever, so I think he was about to go to sleep. So he popped in the chat. He wanted us to shout out his nephew, Memphis. It's his birthday, and he's turning 11 today. So happy birthday, Memphis, if you happen to hear this. That's awesome. 11's a great age. Like, just cherish those times. It's wild how like, your life from, at least for me, it's felt like my life from like the time I was like, can like remember things when I was real young till like I was 18 took forever. And then from like 18 to now, like was like immediate, it's like wild how that happens. So do you feel that same way, Pat? Like the older you get, like the faster things are just like, the faster time is moving?
Yeah, pretty much. I remember a lot of stuff when I was young too. So it's like I'm the polar opposite because my family, they keep pictures and stuff like that. There's a picture of me holding an old school Miller Lite bottle, and I was 2. And I remember that clearly because everybody was freaking out. Luckily, the bottle was empty, and my dad took the picture, but everybody thought I was like literally drinking out of the whole thing. And every time I show that picture, like, well, that's a truth of a true Irishman. So, I mean, why not, right?
There you go.
And we're literally a month away from St. Patrick's Day, too.
Oh, yeah, good call. I'm actually going to, I'm going to tweet this out real quick. I completely forgot I was giving away Wrestle Rumble entries today. I forgot that their pickup contest is great. I'll pull that up here on the screen in just a second, but I believe first place is $1,000, and second and third, I think, are both $100 for this contest. Giving away some free Wrestle Rumble Elimination Chamber pick contest. I can't see my full screen. There it is. Contest entries on the show. Giving away free Wrestle Rumble Chamber Pick'em contest entries on the show. Okay, cool. Boom. So yeah, man. Anything else kind of going on with you right now? Like before we get into these predictions, anything wrestling wise? Anything you want the listeners to know about?
Hard launch on the new channel on the 26th. Soft launch on check him out, Rob Wilkins. He does stuff for Fightful anyways. He's going to be be on the watch along for the chamber, he told me, as what he thinks he's going to be. Let's get that constituted right, because it's not 100% concrete. But I'm highly excited because Rob has been working on his own show for YouTube for as long as I've been doing my own, and we've been pushing each other, trying to get better. So him being on the show and him doing the match memories for my mom's anniversary of her passing, that was like a big step for him. And now with the hard launch on the 26th, which is before my birthday, it's going to be awesome. And we talked about it last night on my show. It's going to give people so much platforms to do. There's going to be so much content seething out of that channel. And then eventually the hope is to have people take it out. Like Bluegrass Jeff, he does stuff for fantasy sports, and he's down to do a show for people to watch with Aaron Entertainment possibly, or people coming in and out and having them talk about fantasy sports, which is awesome because fantasy sports is like a huge thing too. It gives other people ideas on stuff to do other than watching wrestling.
Hell yeah, man. I'm a big fantasy football player myself. I've never won the championship, and it pisses me off. But
We are going to be doing a live Yahoo draft this year for fantasy football, so that's a given. And then we're trying to talk about doing fantasy baseball, but we'll see how that goes because you have to get like a bunch of people into actually doing it. But football's a huge thing.
yeah, for sure. I've never really like been able to commit to like fantasy baseball or basketball or anything just because like there's so many games and stuff. I think I just people just kind of lose track and interest. With football, it's great because it's like a short season. It's like you basically set your lineup like once a week, keep an eye on what's going on in the injury list and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's pretty manageable. It's just really really annoying that I started this fantasy league in high school with the same, like it's the same group of us. We've been doing this for over a decade together. I started this thing and I've never won it, and it's like, and we have like a belt that travels winner to winner that and it's like, and there's a cash prize and everything, and I just can't win the damn thing, and it's really really damn frustrating.
I, my ex-wife's family has a league completely, and I've won. I was in it for 5 years, and I won 3 of them. So finally, they were like, "No, you're out. You can't do it." I was like, "Okay."
you got kicked out for being too good.
Yeah, it was just random luck. Like the last time I won, I picked Blunt to be the running back, and it just so happens that was the last game of the fantasy season, and it was just me and her cousin, and he picked like the best running back you could possibly have, but Blunt literally destroyed him that week. So I was down like 25 points, and I was up like literally 67 points just because of Blunt. I was just like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, take it. Like our league is really difficult because like we have, without like talking about it too much because I know people want to hear us talk about wrestling, but we have a league where like the setup is you start 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex. Sorry, not 2 running backs, but a wide receiver, 2 wide receivers, a running back, and a flex position, plus a tight end. We have a kicker. We have defensive players, defensive teams. Like so, like it's a big roster. So like when things start going wrong, like there's like no one on free agency. Like that's you're like looking into like second string players or like trying to make trades, but it's a ton of fun, but it's super challenging because of those reasons. Like our quarterbacks get like the bulk of the points usually, and those go super fast in the draft. So it's but yeah, I absolutely love fantasy football though. I really miss the football season already. Like it just ended, and I'm like, damn, I can't wait till next season already, dude.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And the fun part for me, at least, is that the way I plan to do it is that the way my ex-wife's family did it. They did 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, tight end, a kicker, and defense. But I'm so much of an enigma when it comes to that. And I used to do, like, go through the main stuff, and then I would start picking each position on that board all over again because let's say the quarterback has a bye week 10. Instead of looking for the scrap, I'd rather have a decent quarterback that's like a 3rd or 4th tier, like Garoppolo or something like that, sitting on the bench for the entire time. And then when that bye hits, I don't have to scramble around looking for players.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. It's yeah. I mean I love professional football, so it just sucks because like luckily for us, like being wrestling fans, that is year round, so that's always great. There's always pro wrestling, there's always mixed martial arts, so those 2 things are great because like it always keeps me entertained to some degree. But I don't really watch any other professional sports at this point outside of the NFL, really. So, yeah, man. I've been out of the loop. Me in the 90s, though, dude, you can ask me anything about, like, baseball in the 90s. I got you. Like, I was a huge MLB fan back in the day. But after the steroid era, I just kind of got uninterested. I don't know if it was the guys being on steroids or exactly what happened there. But I just, like, stopped, like, my attachment to the players I had, I guess. And I just kind of bounced. I love going to the games live, but...
Yeah, there's nothing like going to Fenway Park.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it.
Yeah, you've told me before, like, the closest I've gotten, because I've been to, like, multiple MLB stadiums, but I told you that one time when I was in college, me and my dad went down to Florida for spring training, and we went and saw the Red Sox spring training, and they play in like a minor league stadium, but what they try to do is they try to mimic the park that you're at. So like they put this big fake green monster, in the back, in the outfield. So like there's a giant green wall back there, and and they serve like the Boston style hot dogs and like that kind of stuff. So like it's something where like I know it's not the same thing, but like it's cool that they're able to try to mimic it, even though it's on like a smaller scale. You know what I mean? It's cool to do, because they got to do that for like, Chicago. So they serve you like the Chicago dogs, which like I never had a dog with like a whole pickle spear on it before and stuff like that. So like, so like it's cool to get like the different, what you would kind of get from different parts of the world, but it's all right there in Florida.
Yeah, the fun part is down there they have the same clam chowder they have up here. So it's like ridiculous.
Man.
Like Fenway serves like crab. Like the stuff you wouldn't expect for them to have, you would be like, "Ah, man. Why can't it be like this down in Florida?" Well, I mean, New England seafood's actually like king for the most part.
Yeah, and as somebody who loves seafood, like I need to visit, because man, like that's my favorite kind of, like some of my favorite food is seafood. If I had to pick only one thing to eat the rest of my life, I'd probably pick salmon. Like, love it.
Shrimp scampi for me. Like if I'm at an Italian restaurant, I always get shrimp scampi for the most part.
Yeah, and you guys probably have the best like scallops and stuff up there.
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. As I sit here and drink a coffee, I'm sitting here drinking coffee at 1:30 in the afternoon, like it's early for me. Pathetic. Well, I mean, let's talk some wrestling, dude. Let me get this pulled up. There we go. All right, so we got WWE Elimination Chamber 2021 coming up this Sunday. It's going to be on WWE Network. Is this the last one before it switches to Peacock?
Supposed to be in March. I think Fastlane, then it switches.
So you probably know better than me, because I just haven't been keeping up with it, but do I need to like go register at Peacock, or does my login just work over on Peacock then from the network? Do you know what I need to do to switch my information?
What cable provider do you have?
Well, all my stuff's through Comcast, but I don't actually pay for like cable.
Then if you have Comcast cable, it's part of your subscription.
Oh. Okay. Wait, so Comcast just gives you Peacock for free?
It's kind of like if you get the cable subscription and you pay Netflix through them. Mm-hmm. It's part of your bill. So it like Peacock, since Xfinity Comcast is actually owned by Universal, like NBC Universal.
Right.
So because Comcast is owned by them, they supply that to people who have a cable subscription. So like Peacock Plus is part of it.
Oh, well, I'm going to take advantage of that. And I've seen commercials for that lately, and I just didn't understand. It's funny because like on the commercial, it shows my exact like router that I use for my internet. It was like, if you have this thing, like you're missing out. And I was like, okay. And then I just like forgot about it. I just like never really thought about it again. So that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Wait, so I don't have to pay for the network anymore then after that? Like, I could just get it through Peacock through the... Okay, cool.
If you use them for your cable,
yeah,
right? It's because they go through your television too. It's part of your cable subscription. So, like, if you go through the app section on there, you can actually find it.
Hell yeah! Well, thank you, Pat. I didn't know that. Cool. Well, this will be on the network, this pay-per-view, or special event, whatever they call them nowadays. And this looks like a pretty good show on paper. I mean, there's a lot of really good talent on this. Let's see, where should we start? Let's start with Asuka and Lacey Evans.
That's kind of changed as of late because she says she's pregnant.
Right. That's a good starting point. So, as Pat just said, she announced her pregnancy on Monday. From what's being reported, it's an actual legitimate pregnancy, but they on TV they're like implying that it could be Ric Flair's kid, which obviously in real life that would not be the case. But what do you think about that, Pat? Like, what do you like? I'm imagining the story is gonna be that he isn't the dad, but like, how do you feel about them even like dipping their toes in the potential water of Ric Flair impregnating Lacey Evans? As far as a storyline.
Didn't they do this with like Tori Wilson's dad at one point?
Yeah, on SmackDown. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it never goes well and it never ends well. So I mean, like storylines like this where it's like Seth bringing up that Aaliyah is not Ray's kid and all that stuff. It's just like, come on. That stuff, like, it's different with Becky because the fact that she was giving up something she wanted the most, and that was the major title. But look at it now, is that everybody's like, oh, this is a work that she is extremely happy. She wanted to say it to the people that cared about her and stuff, and that child is amazing and it's a gift. If they should just keep Lacey off for a while like they did with Becky and let her focus on that. I mean, two amazing talents. One of them is, married to a wrestler, obviously, is Sarah Rowe, who is formerly known as Sarah Logan, and their son is like a miracle to him. And the same thing with Becky. So something like this, it shouldn't be used for a storyline because it's personal. It's something that, like for me, I don't have kids. I've always wanted to be a father. So something like this, if I was with somebody that was in a wrestling program with somebody, I would be like, no, I don't approve. This is something really personal, and this is family oriented.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like, obviously, I feel like if Lacey's okay with it, then like I am. But it is strange. It is even stranger that like Ric Flair is the kind of, I don't know. I mean, they did that even back in the day. I think with Ric Flair, I think there was like a WCW storyline at one point that was like, because I can't remember exactly, but it had to do with David Flair and Ric Flair possibly banging the same woman or something like that. It's like the same thing. This was like 20 years ago. And even then it was like creepy old Ric Flair. Now it's like 20 years later, even creepier old Ric Flair. So it's strange. What do you think they do? Like, do you think they just pivot to Asuka versus Charlotte? Because that seems kind of the most obvious.
I'm hoping not. I really don't. I don't want a Charlotte match. I said last night when we were fantasy booking that if they open the borders, I want to see, and I got flack for us, and it's rightfully so. I want to see Kaylee Ray against Charlotte because they seem to put Charlotte in positions where she needs to beat a streak, have a major title and stuff. And honestly, everybody's like saying, well, Charlotte's a Grand Slam champion. Now I'm going to ask you a question. What do you define a Grand Slam champion?
That's so murky now. Like, I mean, it used to be Intercontinental, European, Heavyweight, and Tag Team. But that obviously has all changed now, and there's way more titles. So, like, I guess a Grand Slam champion would be either world title, like Universal or WWE, either set of tag team titles, U.S. title or IC title, and I don't even know what else they would have that you could count now as the fourth.
For me, it's more so for women. If you have the NXT title, if you've had the Raw and SmackDown titles, the women's tag titles, and there's a problem with that because there's one title that's not listed on there for who their champion is, longest reigning champion in that company right now, and has that title on lock. So how can you be a Grand Slam champion if you've never won that title? Like, it'll be different when Rhea or Toni Storm get a shot at one of those titles and collects all the major 4 titles for the women's side. That would be an original Grand Slam because the UK title is a major title in that brand, and it is under the WWE umbrella. So hence, Bayley is not a Grand Slam champion. Sasha's not a Grand Slam champion. Asuka's not a Grand Slam champion. And on top of that, Charlotte is not a Grand Slam champion. And that everybody looks at me and it stucks in their crow because they say they are, and they're not, because that NXT UK title is a vital title.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are they referred to as Grand Slam? Because there isn't even 4 belts for them. Outside, if you're not counting the NXT UK title, it's just the Raw, the SmackDown, and the tag team, right? There isn't even a fourth to where you could even be. Oh, wait, NXT. I guess the NXT women's side. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a really good point, though. Kaylee Ray's doing great stuff. NXT UK in general is a really, really good show. They have a ton of talent over there.
So if the borders were open, I would see them putting champion versus champion and seeing to put what Kaylee Ray can do against Asuka. And they would do something like they did with Finn and AJ, for example. This would be non-title. It would just be something for them to put together where people are saying, let's see the 2 best of the best. Well, the person who had the most, undefeated streak of all time, and the woman who is the longest reigning women's champion as of right now. I think she's even further along than Bayley was.
You're probably right. It has been quite a while. So if you were, let's say that plays out and we get Asuka versus Kaylee Ray, who would you pick to win that match?
Kaylee.
Okay, interesting.
Because the way they're booking Asuka right now, in making her do tag matches and stuff like that, there's no viable, credible person against her title. So Asuka would have to eat the pin regardless because, well, you want the UK title champion to be strong because of the fact that it's the same situation. They're giving her credible talent. I mean, that match was awesome. They're giving her, Kaylee Ray, viable talent. And like the fantasy booking with Charlotte, it would raise, with that Peacock deal, more eyes internationally because you have people who are watching it on BTE and than anything and on the network and stuff, and it would literally bring eyes and bring ratings up out there, which they don't care about the ratings, but people would be talking about it social media wise. And on top of that, you have the most dominant women's champion in our generation, and you have somebody who is extremely dominant in the UK, and that would literally be amazing. It would be the equivalent to, and Finn even said it, I think someone said it, that they would absolutely love having both brands go after each other. It would make the UK title, it would be like the US versus the UK kind of thing. You make like the Worlds Collide thing, but just with major titles. It would be so awesome just to see who is the best of the best in NXT.
Yeah, I think it'd be a pretty good idea to kind of open those barriers too, because obviously we're seeing what's happening with the rest of the wrestling world, with all the companies working together. Like, people are getting stoked on like the idea of like all these dream matches and stuff, and WWE has a ton of people under contract, like 400 people under contract. Like, they can do a lot of cool stuff.
They were hitting Finn and Walter at one point, and that changed. And it's like, I wouldn't mind see Jordan Devlin against Finn, kind of, Seth versus people he's trained and stuff like that. Stuff like that would be awesome.
Yeah, Seth Rollins versus Ben Carter, teacher versus student. That would be really damn good. I think everything you're saying totally makes sense. I like that. I like those predictions. My guess is the more conservative, more what I think WWE's gonna do, and I think it's gonna be Charlotte and Asuka, and I think Charlotte's gonna beat her for the title. That's my prediction. And then you got another Charlotte title match at WrestleMania.
I think the other person you could throw into, because all the matches have ended in DQs, would be Alexa.
That's
true. And they're going hardcore setting up Bray right now. So I mean, with Alexa going in a match and another DQ, it would further along because of how Raw ended in that gauntlet match for Randy. It was just like creepy as hell, but it was awesome also.
Yeah, they're definitely the Alexa thing is interesting. to say the least. Because, like, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about that. I know some people love it. I'm, like, on the fence about a lot of it, but it's also... It's made her, like, a big focal point of the show. I think a lot of people want that. But it's weird because she's kind of doing her own thing, and then she's, like, kind of the Fiend when she wrestles, but then she's not... it's, like, it's... I don't know. It's weird to me. I loved at the Royal Rumble when she was, like, about to become the Fiend and they eliminated her. I thought that was hilarious. Because it was like, oh, they got to her before she transformed. Boom. She didn't have the powers yet. Like, that I thought was actually pretty clever.
It reminded me of, there's a scene in Dragon Ball Super where Android 17, they're watching Brienne transform, and all of a sudden Android 17 just goes up and beats the crap out of her. And everybody's yelling at him, be like, come on, we want to see this transformation. It's like the public wants to see the transmission, but Rhea wanted to beat the crap out of her and get her out of the ring.
Yes, exactly. I thought it was well done. Jay Jeezy's back here in the chat. Jay Jeezy, what's up, man? He's always here, big supporter of the show. Says LA Knight. Yeah, Eli Drake is now LA Knight in NXT. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm not a huge Eli Drake fan. It's nothing personal against him. He's to me, it's almost like a Dalton Castle. Like there's people that love him. He has a big fan base. He's just never really shown me anything super special that's really gotten me that excited about him. But what do you think about Eli Drake signing with WWE and that new LA Knight name for NXT?
I think it's a good thing because obviously they're trying to get stronger. I mean, look at Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's going to be awesome. It's the first thing every time they mention LA Knight, the first thing I thought was like a sports team with that name.
I keep thinking of LA Lights. Remember the shoes? The LA Gear shoes that used to light up when you walked as a kid? Those are called LA Lights. And that's all I can think about.
And people were tweeting out, be like, I think they're going to bring back LA Gears, but put it in WWE brand. That would be so funny. But yeah, no, I thought it was like somebody they named after a sports team or something like that. Like, you know, they're using the XFL names now and for characters and stuff.
That's actually pretty funny. They got a He Hate Me character now.
I could just see that now. All of a sudden, somebody comes out in like Stone Cold Stunners and just flashing He Hate Me in the background.
Shout out to Cole Radrick, independent pro wrestler. I saw him recently rock a He Hate Me jersey to the ring. Like, he wore it during his entrance. And it was like, that was awesome. That was so random, but I was like, I caught on to that. So Cole Radrick, big fan over here. Jay Jeezy says, I see either Charlotte or Alexa replacing Lacey. Wouldn't be surprised if Lacey tells Peyton Royce to take her place since that's her tag team partner. I mean, I guess they could do that too, but I mean, these are all good options. Everything that we're talking about and that Jay Jeezy's saying here, like, they have options. I just feel like the thing with Charlotte, and I know some people don't like this about Charlotte because they feel like it's too much of her and she wins too much and she should have beat Rhea Ripley last year and all this stuff. But what I like about Charlotte is that she's always a perennial threat to the title. Like, she could be doing, like, nothing and get a title shot, and, like, she might win it. Like, there's always... Anytime I see her in a title match, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of time I see a title match on paper, and I'm like, oh, this person's for sure going to win no matter what. Like, Rich Swann versus Tommy Dreamer at No Surrender. It's like, you know for a fact Rich Swann is winning that match. But if that was Charlotte in that kind of position, I'm always going to be like, you know what? Charlotte could win. Like, she wins titles. That's what she does. So I like that. I like that aspect about her.
I wouldn't be surprised that, and this is me just throwing this out there, that they bring Rhea in, and this is the spot they actually debut Rhea. They're well known to, like, not build up a significant person to the point where everybody gets excited, and then all of a sudden they just plop them into a spot because they absolutely, like, hit the emergency glass just to break everything up, and there you go.
Yeah. If Rhea would be a good choice, though, like, the thing with Rhea, though, is, like, she has to win. Like, if they put her in this match, she has to win the title. Like, after not winning last year and then, like, just coming up short in the Royal Rumble, like, you have to establish her, like, as a winner, I think, pretty much at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want her getting kind of lost in the mix or being kind of just like everyone else. She should be treated special because she's super talented.
And the other thing is that it could set up something at Fastlane where
True.
Asuka wants to go back for it, and then a triple threat like they did for In Your House Takeover, but have like Asuka and Charlotte in there and stuff. I mean, there's so many possibilities, but I think if they absolutely have to, they're gonna put Asuka with Rhea just because of the fact that they need somebody quick, and Rhea's like itching to go.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of good options there. Moving on, this match here, we had a triple threat match for the U.S. title. Bobby Lashley defending the belt against Keith Lee and Riddle in a triple threat. What's up, Dylan? See you in the chat. Now it's under Dylan Ketchum, no longer Dylan's wrestling stuff. I noticed the name change there, Dylan. Hope you're having a good one, man. Feel free to chime in with your predictions. I like this matchup a lot. I really like Bobby Lashley and what he's been doing. Keith Lee is incredibly talented, and so is Riddle. They're all really, really talented for completely different reasons. There is some overlap between the three, but they're unique characters, and all three are very good in the ring. Like that's what makes me really excited about this. I think it's gonna be a really good match. Pat, who do you think walks away as the United States champion?
Lashley, but my heart's actually with Keith because after that announcement in his personal life, that would just be like the cherry on top. Like Mia runs out, yeah.
Engaged to Mia Yim, for those of you who may not know.
That would be like the cherry on top, but that won't happen. They're gonna keep Lashley, and I like the fact that Lashley's even said, I think it's publicly, that he wouldn't mind doing something with Riddle in the fight pit. And that would be awesome. I wouldn't be surprised they drag Riddle out all the way to Mania because of this whole thing, and they do the United States title, and they bring just like a cinematic version of the fight pit out and let them to go at it MMA style.
Dude, that would be sick. I am all for Riddle versus Lashley in an MMA style bout. Like, that was one of the things about, people can have whatever opinions they want about Raw Underground. I have super negative opinions, and I have some positive opinions about it. Like, I'm all over the place with how I felt about Raw Underground. But it baffles me that they got rid of it right before they brought Riddle over to Raw from SmackDown. It's like, you have Lashley and Riddle on the same brand right now. You could have, that would have made people interested in Raw Underground. That would have been awesome. If they, let them go out there and just fight each other for, 10 full minutes. That would have been sweet, and I don't know how they didn't do that. It's wild to me. But anyway,
it made it a lot more easier for people to pay attention to certain people, like Eric Rowe literally going off on people. That was awesome.
Riddick Moss.
Yeah, it gave people eyes on certain people, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. That pisses me off. So the whole thing with Raw Underground was they basically used it to build up Dabba-Kato. He was clearly the one that was going to benefit the most from Raw Underground. And then the last episode of Raw Underground, Strowman just comes in and knocks him out. And then Raw Underground's done. Dabba-Kato's never seen again. Him and Riddick Moss and Arturo Ruas all got drafted, I think, to Raw, I think. And none of them have been seen since. So it's the few guys that they actually used to get over in Raw Underground, they just didn't do anything with. We haven't seen them since. It's the only person they've done anything with is Omos, and he was the guy, protecting the door. So it's it was just a giant waste of time, basically.
Yeah, it's just, but it gave people eyes on certain people, which is great. That's what matters the most for but you're right. I think Kato would be a star. I wouldn't be surprised that they do something with him and they move him to SmackDown. Literally, let's be honest. There's no brand invitation. It's just they put him wherever they feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the way it is. I like the idea of the brand invitation. Don't get me wrong, but be real. Be honest with us. Don't string us along and think, oh, they're gonna like this regardless. You don't know that.
Yeah, I think they should look at whatever plans they had for Lars Sullivan and then be okay, we were going to push the hell out of this guy. Let's just do this with Dabba-Kato instead and see how it goes. Just do that, Just have him be the next, guy who just beats everybody up. But just don't make it weird. Don't give him these weird promos and stuff.
Or worst comes to worst, create a faction in NXT, put Kato back down there, and have him stand behind Cross. That would be like a doomsday faction. Like you literally have somebody to pick up where obviously, the UE's imploding. So I mean that would build something up where you have like Cross building his own faction and brings it up when he's ready.
That'd be interesting. That'd be a good pairing. And that's another one where it's like you have Karrion Cross now, and you don't have like an MMA. Like that guy has an MMA background. Like there were so many people that would have been. I think Raw Underground was a great concept, but they just they stopped it before. Like now they have a roster that it would be incredible if they did it now. But that'll being said, as far as my prediction for the show, this is really tough. Because I'm going to say Lashley also. He's been on a roll. My thing with Lashley is, like, if he's not going to be the WWE champion, then then he might as well be the Universal champion. Or the United States champion, rather. Like, I want to see him in the world title mix. I think he deserves it, especially with MVP and the Hurt Business and their whole presentation. But if that's not what he's going to be doing, then he should be the U.S. champion, I think.
I don't want to see that program again. We've already got it last year. While the gullible bastard, we're still freaking up and coming right there. And then I take that line from freaking Wrestle Talk too. That's what they call it. But I really don't want to see it again. We already got that. We got that literally, what, a few months after Ziggler. I mean, no.
Well, Lashley and McIntyre. Well, no, I'm saying just in general. Like, regardless of who the champion was, like, I'd like to see Bobby Lashley as the WWE champion. Like, I don't really care what the match is or who he wrestles for it. Like, I think Lashley's that good right now that I'd like to see him holding because he's never gotten that chance. Like, he was the WWE ECW champion and nobody cared about that. But, I think he's really putting it together right now.
I think Lashley being a champion, like a major title champion, yes. But I don't want to see the same program and how it ended again with him and MVP. It's like, okay, we've seen this, we've done that. They have a habit of regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over again. Yeah. So, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to it and The Rock's not there by Mania, that they give Lashley a shot at one of the major titles.
Yeah, I think there's a chance.
I think out of everybody, I think Lashley is the one who could take the title off Roman.
And that's a match have we gotten that for the title before? I don't think so. I can't remember. I know there was definitely times when like Lashley was fighting for number one contender, and like the one match we never really got that if they would have built it right would have been incredible would be Lashley and Lesnar, but the timing was never right for it. Well, anyway, Lashley, we're both taking Lashley. But I like everyone in this match, so like it wouldn't bother me at all to see Keith Lee or Riddle get this championship. And I'm definitely down for your idea, Pat. I hope that we get Lashley and Riddle in like a fight pit or steel cage, something MMA style. I think would be awesome between those two.
It would use every tool they have in their arsenal. It would be so awesome.
Yes. Dylan's got his predictions in the chat. Let me read these out real quick. He's got McIntyre. He thinks Cesaro wins the Chamber. Reigns retains the title. Lashley retains the title. Yeah, we'll get to all of our predictions on that stuff here in just a second, because we're actually at. Let's do the Raw Chamber first. Then we'll do the SmackDown Chamber and then the Roman Reigns match. So. Raw Chamber, WWE title on the line. We got Drew McIntyre defending against AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Kofi Kingston. On this past Monday Night Raw, Sheamus won a gauntlet match to ensure that he'll be the last person entering the chamber. So, Pat, who do you got here? You got McIntyre retaining and carrying the title onto WrestleMania, or do you think someone takes the belt from him here in this Elimination Chamber?
You got the man with the freaking kilt. You can't go against the Scotsman. I'm sorry. The interesting part is that promo Miz caught. I give Miz a lot of flack because I'm so used to I want that talking smack Miz where he literally was just irate. I don't want this dinky, and I'm going to say this because this goes way back in Miz's history, the Back to New York MTV Miz, where he was apologetic for everything and being goofy and stuff. How he became the Miz when he went on the challenge and got drunk for his 21st birthday. I don't want that Miz.
Like, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, I remember the first episode of Back to New York when he's like at lunch with two African Americans and like just saying all this racist stuff about like his upbringing and all, and they were just sitting there looking at him like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Because he was from like this really a very white area of the United States. Let's put it that way. He didn't have much diversity growing up, and he was like super ignorant when he came onto the real world. So like he's changed significantly over time, but I'll never forget that. Like I thought he was gonna get his ass kicked the first episode of that show.
I want somebody to have the balls to go up to him if they ever get a chance to interview and be like, how's Cora doing?
Coral, yeah. Well, I mean, they became friends, over time. But that was the thing. It was Coral, and I can't remember the dude's name. But like that first episode, he was saying some racist stuff, and they were both like, "This guy is ignorant as hell. Like, we gotta live with this guy." Like,
at one point, they were trying to kick him out of the house.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure at one point I remember they had like it was like Valentine's Day or something, and somebody like bought like gifts for a lot of people in the house, but it like wasn't someone from the house. It might have been someone they met out there, and I think they got Coral some flowers or something. And I'm pretty sure I remember the Miz taking credit for the gifts that people were getting, and then they all found out that he didn't actually buy any of those. Like he was just taking credit for the gifts, but like they weren't his presents. Like, but when I was a kid, I thought this stuff was hilarious because I'm like in middle school, and there's this dude getting drunk with a children's WWE replica title on his shoulder, knocking over trash cans and pretending like he's The Rock, and like I think it's the funniest thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, I want like that talking smack, and that promo on Monday was literally the talking smack Miz, where he said, "I'm putting everybody on notice," and that was great. And it was really smart of WWE taking him out of the chamber and giving Kofi a shot again, and Kofi will kill it, but I mean Drew's gonna win the chamber.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the move, unless like they're not going to go back to Orton. They'll probably have something happen where like the Fiend somehow cost Orton here. They're not going to just do Kofi Mania again, so I don't think he wins. There's really no. Sorry, go ahead.
I said something on the show last night where it made perfect sense. So now, remember how Bray and Orton at, I think it was Mania, they had all the worms and all that stuff.
It was Mania 33. I was there. I remember that. Yeah.
And can you just imagine, like, they put Alexa's face on there and she's laughing and Orton's standing in the middle and her mouth's open wide, and just like they turn around because they have that 8K camera. They could have something like a 3D visual like they use and have Orton get swallowed, and there's Orton going down in the middle of the ring, just like brought down as hell. They could do something like that.
I hadn't really thought about that, but like and that would be a total WWE move, right? Like Orton gets sucked into her mouth in the ring, and everyone just kind of looking around at each other like, what's going on? Like man, that would be freaking hilarious if they actually wound up doing that, though.
You could have Drew off on the side on the metal grades, and all of a sudden Orton's ready to come out, and Alexa just pops out and starts laughing like she did and stuff. And then the lights go out, and just that visual happens, and you see two hands pop up, and it's Bray's hands dragging him down.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna get something like that. Like, I think that'll be kind of the excuse for Orton losing here. Will be the Fiend or Alexa or something bizarre will happen. There's no reason for them to put the belt on Jeff Hardy. I still love the guy. I give him all the credit in the world for being, as over as he still is in 2021 after all these years. Like, he deserves a lot of respect for like the level of popularity he's been able to have all these years. But obviously, no one thinks he's winning this match. AJ Styles would only make sense if they're ready to if they're ready to give the big push to Omos, I just don't think that's happening yet. But that's how I see that eventually happening, is like either AJ is going to win the belt or Omos is going to somehow win the belt out of nowhere, and that will be the first big match for Omos, will be AJ Styles, I think. Because there's no other reason to put them together, like they want the best person on their roster in there with Omos so that he looks incredible whenever they're ready to really push him, I think. And I don't think that's happening by this WrestleMania. I think it'll be a while.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I really want to see like Roman versus AJ. Even if Roman wins, I want to see that match just because it's been a long time since they faced each other, like in a major title and stuff like that, going all crazy and stuff.
Yeah, and the last time they did that, it was incredible, and that was still when Roman was like getting booed as a babyface, and even then, like the match was really, really damn good. So that basically leaves McIntyre or Sheamus as my options. I feel like part of me is like they won't actually do Sheamus and McIntyre at WrestleMania, but like I feel like now I kind of feel like they might though. Like I don't know. I feel like McIntyre retains here either way, but maybe it's Sheamus and McIntyre at Fastlane, and then unfortunately I still have like Jinder Mahal in the back of my head because like I know he's coming back soon, and I know that WWE is going to probably want to do him and McIntyre with that whole 3-man band backstory and all that stuff, and I'm not looking forward to that at all because I just don't think Jinder's very good. Just personally, he does nothing for me in a wrestling ring, so I don't know. I'm going to do start recording. So got us.
Hey, it's back up.
Oh,
it's
are we back?
Almost all fully. I don't know if the feed is, but I can see you fully now.
Warning, please check video resolution. I don't know why this is happening. It's so annoying. Like, Jay Jeezy is still chat, but I think it's from, like, earlier, and it's just kind of lagging. Let me look at my router real quick and see if there's, like, anything flashing. I'll be back in, like, 3 seconds.
Starts going, I'll just keep talking.
Yeah. Everything looks normal. I have no idea what's going on. Well,
yeah, now it's popping up. Hold on. It's just circulating right now.
Yeah, and then we just okay, I saw us moving for a second. That's so weird.
Stuff happens, right?
Yeah. I mean, I could try to end the stream and then pop it back on, but I think I have to create like a whole new...
You're going to have to create a whole new show.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Yeah, and it's still loading. So, I mean...
Yeah, we'll just... Well, sorry, go ahead.
I said we could just keep going and just, if it comes down to it,
Yeah. Yeah, damn. I mean, I've at least got us recording like right now, so maybe I could do something with the with this video. I'll at least be able to get the audio out. I can like edit this audio in with.
And it's done.
It's back up.
Yeah, it's slowly loading back and forth.
Like, I don't know why the connection is so weak from OBS right now. That's what I'm concerned about. And now there's like 5 people. Like, there's people joining in right now. I'm so confused. So weird.
It's loading slowly, but we're back on. So, I mean, let's just keep winging it. And if it keeps loading slow, I mean, hey, at least it's there,
Yeah, and if y'all can hear us, like, let me know in the chat, because something's up with the broadcaster that I use. I have no idea why this is happening. Anyways, as far as the rest of this show, so my official prediction is Drew McIntyre. I'm gonna go Drew. I think that makes the most sense. And then at WrestleMania, I don't know for sure what we get, but I feel like the Sheamus thing isn't over yet, so I'd imagine we'll get Sheamus taking on Drew McIntyre at Fastlane, or maybe even WrestleMania. I think that's probably a pretty good assumption.
Yeah, no, it would make perfect sense.
Yeah, there you go. Man, this is wild.
So
There's people like joining. There's more people joining the chat right now, like while it isn't working, than when everything was working fine. That's so weird. That's so weird. And nobody in the chat's even like, it's frozen, it's fucked up. Like no one's saying anything.
it's just how it is.
Yeah. And that's so weird because like now I'm looking at the stream and it's got us. It's working again a little bit. I don't know. We'll just keep going. Let us know in the chat what's going on, what you're seeing. Sorry about that, y'all. It's unfixable apparently right now without stopping this and then starting it again. We got the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Universal title. We got Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens versus King Corbin versus Sami Zayn versus Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan. I love all the participants in this match. I think that it's awesome that the winner is going to be wrestling Roman Reigns right after for the Universal Championship. And I love the story there too. Like Roman is only contractually obliged to have to defend the title at the pay-per-view, but there was nothing in his contract about having to be in the Elimination Chamber match itself. So I thought this was smart, and the Roman Reigns character right now is awesome, and the way that he's using Paul Heyman is like, Paul Heyman's basically his legal counsel, making sure that he's getting favorable matchups and stuff like, in scenarios and stuff like that. So I love all this. I love the whole story with Roman. I love that the winner of this is going to be wrestling him right afterwards. And the big question, though, is who is it going to be who wrestles Roman Reigns? Because, well, I'm going to assume that whoever wrestles Roman Reigns is not going to win this match. But what I like about the idea is somebody's going to look great coming off of the chamber, and then they'll lose to Roman, but they'll have kind of that excuse and caveat of like, yeah, but I made it close, and I went through an Elimination Chamber before that, so they're still going to look good coming out of it. So who do you think wins the Elimination Chamber match and goes on to wrestle Roman Reigns later in the same night?
Well, why don't I ask you a different question that I asked Aaron Entertainment last night and Bluegrass Jeff. I made them make their picks, and what I said to them is pick the last two and who's the winner. And for me, it made more sense after that Talking Smack promo that they did. It's going to be Bryan and Cesaro, and I think they're going to have Cesaro finally get his moment out of this.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Like, I told you before we started recording, and by the way, the connection's great now. I don't know what the hell changed. I think we're good to go now on YouTube again. But when I looked at this match initially, that's what stood out the most, was like, this is their chance to give Cesaro a big win and then give him a good match against Roman, because he'll go out there and kill it against Roman, even if it's relatively short, because he'll be coming off of the chamber match. But even in defeat, that helps get Cesaro over big time as a singles wrestler and puts him in that real conversation of potential WWE champions or potential Universal champions. So I'm with you 100%. I would love to see those two be the last two in the ring. I'd also be okay if it was like Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens, or sorry, like Cesaro and Kevin Owens or something. Like Cesaro can go with anybody. Everyone in this match is great. Like even King Corbin, I think is better than kind of the flack he gets, but some of that flack is deserved. Like I think he was the worst. I think he should not have been Kurt Angle's last opponent. We'll just put it that way. But I think he's done pretty good for what he's supposed to be doing out there. And Jey Uso's been great. Sami Zayn's always going to deliver. I mean, it's like, this match is awesome. And I'm actually going to go with Cesaro also. But then, of course, I think Cesaro loses to Roman Reigns, which I think is what you were saying as well. Like, no matter what, Roman Reigns is still going to be leaving Universal Champion, right?
I had an idea that they should have Cesaro face Drew at Mania. That would be like, let them just go. Let it be extremely physical. And if they don't give like Sheamus at Mania, why not? There's literally, like we said earlier, there's no such thing as a brand split. You could have Cesaro pop in over on Raw if you need him, and literally challenge Drew, and just Drew has no say in it because he faced Roman, so Drew has pride and he wants to beat anybody Roman beats to prove he's the better champion. So there's your storyline right there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, really, Cesaro against anybody like that. I just want to see him getting a legitimate chance to be a main event player, because we've all been saying it for so long that he has the talent, he deserves it, and this is an opportunity for them to actually really do that. And like, he just re-signed with WWE, didn't he? So it would make sense.
Yeah.
It would make sense to push him. Like, that'd be my only reservation, would be if he hasn't signed, and like, then it's kind of hard to do that. But if he just re-signed and he's committed to the company, commit to him. Like, give him that big push. And hopefully he kind of negotiated that in whatever he signed. Like, I don't think it's fair to ever, when someone signs, I don't think you can ever really be like, I'm only going to re-sign with you if you give me the WWE title or anything like that. But I think the conversation between him and WWE should have been along the lines of like, hey, I'm willing to stay. I like working here, but you have to promise me you're going to push me with this next contract, because there's interest, like, there's going to be major interest from AEW. I know it could go there right now. It's not a threat. It's just something where, like, there are options for me, and they will use me as a main event guy elsewhere. So, like, you've got to promise me you're going to give me a push. And I'm hoping that that's part of what his conversation was with the WWE, because otherwise it's just, like, why would you re-sign when you know he can make just as much money in AEW and they'll actually push him like a main eventer? You know what I mean? Like, so you got to do that, WWE. You got to do that for this guy.
You can go to Impact and literally win the championship day one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's how talented he is. And yeah, I mean, this is just a big opportunity. I think they really need to capitalize on this, because Daniel Bryan winning the match, like, Daniel Bryan's a made man no matter what. You can put him in the main event scene whenever you want. You can put him you can make him the world champion whenever you want, and no one's ever going to have a problem with it. Corbin just isn't the right guy. Sami Zayn right now just isn't the right person to be, the WWE Universal Champion. He's great as like an upper mid-carder, but I don't see him as the champion right now. Kevin Owens has had multiple opportunities, and Jey Uso will never... I mean, it would be interesting to see Jey Uso and Roman again, but like, we've seen it enough lately that I don't think that that's what they would do right now. So, I mean, Cesaro really makes the most sense, I think.
Yeah, no, it's the only choice. It really is, because if you're going to say Bryan for Mania... Because let's say Edge does pick Balor, you need an opponent for it, for Roman, and Bryan makes more sense. And especially if Bryan goes part-time, considering he's doing production stuff for them also, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And I see Kogan in the chat. What's up, Kogan? Welcome back. Says, this is the first time in a long time where I actually have hope for Cesaro to get a push. Here's hoping. That's how I feel also. I mean, we've seen multiple times where the WWE looked like they were going to give him a big push and then just didn't. Like, he'd get in the mix, and then the next thing you know, he's jobbing out again, or he's in another tag team. I mean, how many tag teams have we seen this guy in over the years? Like, it's like tag teams and mid-card, and it's just like... But then every now and then they put him in the main event, and he'd knock it out of the park, and everyone would be talking about it, and it would just all be about, like, this is it for Cesaro, like, it's finally happening, and then it gets pulled away again, and it frustrates everyone again.
I think the closest title he's been as a single competitor is the up, down title, to be honest. Like, that was literally the closest one I've seen him on, but he's overdue, and it give him a shot, and I think the best way to have him win a title is Drew. And that literally would be an amazing one, and give him a feud with Drew as the WWE champion for maybe a couple of months like they did with Randy, and then let, Drew get it back. But it gives everybody what they want. It really does. And that promo was so good on Talking Smack. So good with Bryan and stuff, and Heyman. And Heyman says, what's going to happen if you're the final two? Who's going to win between the two? And he's like, let the best man win. No, nobody will be upset about it. But it's just, it's time.
What do you think about this? Like, let's say they don't go with Cesaro, right? Let's say this doesn't happen, and it's like, damn, all right, well, they didn't do this again. What do you think about the idea of Cesaro going to NXT? Like, because he'd murder it there.
He's been down there, and that was really good, and I would like to see him there, but if Edge does pick him, where do you put him? If the only other place that's really hurting for, even though they have the talent, but really hurting for good stories, is Cesaro. And I think you put him in with Drew. There you go. That instant magic. They both have almost the same styles. They both can fight like crazy and beat the crap out of each other if they want. And I could literally see Cesaro going over on Drew because Drew's that type of person where he wants to, give somebody their moment. And because he's already had it at Mania, so why not give somebody else that he's probably close friends with, closer than Sheamus probably, and that would make sense. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Chamber Brian does the same thing because he's acknowledged it that they've been friends for about 15 years and he wants nothing but the best from him. Pointed out that he's never had a major opportunity at a singles title. That he's always been in like a mid card or a tag champion, like you said. He is well overdue, and he even said it to Heyman. How many times can you count that he's had a major opportunity for a championship, or has ever won a major championship that wasn't Intercontinental or United States?
Exactly. And like Kogan, to your point just now, Kogan actually said Cesaro did have a U.S. title reign from 2012 to 2013. I'm shocked I remember that. Yeah, I remember. That was when he was paired with like that random woman. I can't remember what her name was. It was like Oksana or something like that. It was some like really foreign, like exotic name. And she was like his manager for a minute. And someone will know the name that I just can't. Maybe you do, Pat. I can't remember who it was. But I remember that he came in with a female valet, won the U.S. title like immediately. Looked like he was going to be a big deal. And then it's been all over the place since then.
The Talking Smack promo, Brian's like, oh, why didn't you, they got the Brock deal. How the hell did they get the Brock deal? Hey, Cesaro, didn't you do you want the Brock deal? He's like, don't you want to work with Paul Heyman? He's like, wait a minute. And Brian's like, oh yeah, that's right. You did work with Heyman. How did that go? Why didn't you? And then Heyman's like, well, it's the Jewish thing. I want like work less, make more money. It was so good. And then Cesaro took over and just went off on a huge promo like you would in the middle of the ring. But it was so funny, so good.
That's awesome. Like, that was baffling to me that, like, I was in, this had to have been in New Orleans. I was there for WrestleMania, and then it was the night after WrestleMania. So I believe it was the same show, actually, that the Ultimate Warrior did his big speech the day before he died. On that same show was where Cesaro told Dutch Mantel, like, I'm not with you anymore. I'm a Heyman guy. And Heyman came out, and, like, the place went insane. Because it was like, Cesaro and Heyman, like, this is going to be incredible. And then they just never did anything with it. That was, like, one of the biggest disappointments in recent years for me was how they just... That was such a home run, I think, with the two of them. And they just didn't work.
Yeah, the only thing happened is him winning the IC title, and that was it.
Yeah, and that was the same for Curtis Axel with Paul Heyman. Won the IC title, and it was like, okay. Basically, unfortunately, it just wound up being a thing where, like, they were just killing time before Brock came back when they were doing that. They also did, I forgot, like, Ryback was a Heyman guy at one point, too. Like, that didn't work at all.
Punk was he talks about Inside the Ropes on one of their YouTube videos about how Heyman was going away because they take a break with Brock for a while, and he was supposed to go on vacation with his family. Heyman, he turns around, gets a phone call, and be like, you know what I want to do? And he's like, what do you want to do, Vince? He's like, I don't want to put you with somebody. I want you on TV. He's like, Heyman's like, I'm not going to work with anybody. My deal is to work only with Brock and Brock alone, and I don't want to work with anybody. But Vince is like, wait a minute, you don't know who I'm going to put you with. He's like, Heyman's like, okay, so who are you going to be? I'm going to put you with Punk. I'll be there Monday night. I'll see you then.
Yeah.
The story goes on is like when Heyman peers out and they're so like very anal about all their stuff when they're looking at you like, can you just picture that this company is putting us two idiots together? Boy, we're gonna get fired in about 4 months.
That's awesome.
it literally was like these stories and stuff. It's so much fun to know.
Dude, Jay Jeezy says it was Oksana. Dude, so I was right about that. I can't believe I
Yeah.
remembered that name. Holy cow. Because she did nothing in the WWE outside of like walk him to the ring a few times. Wow. I have the weirdest memory for stuff, dude. We were on the Fightful Twitch channel last night doing the Impact watch along, and I was like tapping into like these TNA wrestlers that I completely forgot about from like 15, 20 years ago at this point. It's like I have the weirdest memory for, because I couldn't tell you what happened like 2 weeks ago on some of these wrestling shows, but I can tell you about, like, we were talking about this guy X who was in the X division. He was this giant dude who wrestled in like the early days of TNA in the X division. He was way bigger than the rest of the division, and I brought him up yesterday, and no one knew who I was talking about. I'm like, I swear, like I can't be making this up. Like, there was some dude called X. He was huge. He was in the X division. Like, no one else remembers this. And then we looked it up, and not only did he exist, it was PCO playing the X character. I was like, I was right, but I had no idea it was PCO. But it was like just random as hell.
Suicide. Yeah.
Suicide was, yeah, he was like Daniels and Kazarian and TJP and probably Amazing Red at some point. And like, yeah, he played by a lot of different people.
Yeah, it's the whole thing with Sin Cara with all the masks and stuff. Yeah.
The Sin Cara thing was hilarious because they did Sin Cara and then he got hurt, and then they did Sin Cara Negro or whatever they called him, the black version of Sin Cara, and then it was like they had a feud, and then the real Sin Cara beat the fake Sin Cara, and then the real Sin Cara wound up getting fired, so the fake Sin Cara wound up playing the real Sin Cara for the rest of the time anyways.
Yeah, it's just how funny. I mean, look at, Isaac Yankem turning into the fake Diesel, turning into Kane, and having this long thing and becoming a mayor of Knoxville County.
Dude, that was possibly just, especially in hindsight, as a kid, I even remember thinking it was hilarious. But when they tried to pass off Diesel and Razor Ramon as the fake Diesel and the fake Razor, as if nothing had changed, and it's just, this is the Razor Ramon we've been watching this whole time. Like, nothing's off about this guy. Like, it was hilarious that they tried to pass that shit off. Like no one was gonna notice.
Yeah, it literally everybody noticed though.
Literally everybody. Like, it was completely unavoidable. But
have you seen the day of the 2021 Rumble?
I watched it the other night, but it was like I was kind of doing some other stuff at the same time. But what about it?
Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, literally talked about how it was an honor to be in there and throw about a couple of people out, and then Priest like throwing him over the top, and that he sees something in Priest where he's going to take that role that he and Taker did and just push it into another level and stuff, and he can't wait to see what happens. That's a huge thing with Edge and him.
Yeah, I actually do remember hearing that, and I think that's awesome. Because Priest, I've been saying it for a minute, and for anyone who's trickled in, we've had audio issues, or not audio, but connection issues today. So it's probably a big time lag on the actual chat right now. So if y'all have any super chats or donations, we'll make sure to deep dive on anything that you want us to talk about before we get out of here. We've already gone through our Elimination Chamber picks, but we're just going to kind of kick it here for a few minutes and just talk about whatever y'all want to, or just whatever we wind up coming up with. So just keep that in mind. Super chats are great, and also the donation links are in the description. But with the Royal Rumble with Damian Priest and that endorsement, I think that's really I really see that happening for Priest, because I don't think they would have put him with Bad Bunny if they didn't see a big star potential in him. And he checks every box that WWE's looking for. I mean, he has the size. The analogy, or the kind of way I explain it to people, is, he could pick you up over his head and throw you over the top rope, or jump over the top rope and completely clear it and hit you on the outside. I mean, he can do literally anything. So he's the kind of guy that I think the WWE could really, really do something with. And I think he's the kind of guy that Vince McMahon is going to really like.
He's a skinnier version of Keith Lee.
Yeah, he reminds me of Roman Reigns too, a little bit. So this is I think he has a very bright future, and I also think it's, I'm one of those people who didn't know who Bad Bunny was, pre WWE, and that's not me like flexing or trying to sound cool. I just didn't know who he was, but I've come to learn that he's like this massive star. Like I did not realize how humongous this guy was, like worldwide, popularity wise, and for them to be putting Priest with him, I think that could only help Damian Priest.
I think the biggest compliment they could do is put Priest with McIntyre or put him in certain position where they can make him succeed. I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say Lashley drops the title at some point, that he picks up the ball and starts having feuds again. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Lee go at it. I wouldn't mind seeing him going after a few other people too.
Yeah, I'm with that 100%. There was something else there too. It's escaping my. Oh yeah, I was gonna say. Do you think at WrestleMania they'll do Bad Bunny and Damian Priest against The Miz and Morrison?
No, I think that they're gonna do something where Priest and Bunny's gonna do like an entrance theme song, like a rock version of his theme, and put his own spin to it, and then they'll play with that because obviously he's, for someone who's making WWE $500,000 in merchandise. I mean, wouldn't you want to have him make a song about one of your wrestlers and bring back the old school theme songs like Saliva doing wrestling intros, Disturbed and stuff, but having somebody who's like a high-end Grammy award-winning performer, like beating, if Denise is watching, I'm sorry, but Taylor Swift and stuff. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them do something where they can use his musical talents. Yeah, he's a huge wrestling fan, and they could have him intervene in the match and then put the briefcase up so that way you get Priest to get the briefcase off the Miz. But I think Priest could do something with it quicker than Miz.
Speaking of, musical talents and the WWE and all that, I gotta ask you, what are your thoughts on Lil Bow Wow he's like, seemed pretty adamant about trying to get into the WWE now.
No Bow Wow. No.
Dude, I don't know what that... I mean, I shouldn't say I don't know what he's thinking. What he's doing is he saw Bad Bunny and what this success he's having, and he wants to try it himself, is how I see it. But it's like, how random was that? Like, this dude who never was talking about WWE before, like, didn't seem to have any interest in wrestling. No one, who knows what level of fan he even is. Like, if he could even name, 10, 15 of the wrestlers on the current roster. I have no idea what his, like, level of fandom for the WWE is. But that whole thing is, like, but it's funny because I can't even, like, 100% even knock it because it's working in boxing. Like, boxing's popularity has skyrocketed lately because of the inclusion of the Paul brothers and stuff like that. I'm not saying that that's necessarily good. I'm just saying, like, it's working. And, like, with wrestling, Bad Bunny's selling a ton of merchandise, and I can understand someone like Bow Wow kind of, because I haven't even heard about Bow Wow since, like, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and that had to have been like 15 years ago at this point. So
he had a few albums out too, so I mean, I've heard about that stuff, but other than that, no. Yeah. Unless he's gonna do something musical, no.
Dude, unless he has, I think I saw someone on Twitter joking about how it would have to be a Like Mike scenario where he, like, finds, somebody's trunks in the back and puts them on and gets their powers, like how he did in Like Mike for his basketball skills.
I mean, I would see him do something like a Kid Rock, Limp Bizkit kind of thing, but I don't want him wrestling.
Dude, Limp Bizkit was genius.
It would be a David Arquette thing all over again, even though he's wrestling still. I mean, no.
Yeah, what he's doing now is completely different than what he was doing in WCW. Now he's out there, like, taking light bulbs to the dome and stuff, like, which is just insane that he's doing the stuff he's doing, but more power to him for doing it. you got to really love pro wrestling to be a guy who has had as much success as he has, like in movies and stuff, and to have already been a WCW champion, even though the story was, it's
Garbage.
like, yeah, right. It's like one of the worst things they ever did, but it's but for him, I mean, you gotta love wrestling to be wrestling out on the independents at his age right now and doing death matches and stuff. Like it's pretty wild.
Yeah, no, I don't want anything like that.
The best was how Limp Bizkit, like Fred Durst was genius. How he basically worked out a deal. For those of you who might not know, back in the day, they worked out a deal where WWE was allowed to use Limp Bizkit's music in exchange for Fred Durst. I'm sure there was money involved as well, but part of the deal was Fred Durst being allowed to be a playable character in the SmackDown video games. So like they had a character for him where he'd come out to Roland and like be like in a hydraulic car bouncing up and down and like rapping and all this stuff, like, which I thought was genius. He was like, he snuck his way into the video games in that deal, which I gotta respect that.
Yeah, I mean, now Fred's making movies.
Dude, I don't know. I saw he was on Twitch lately too. I was like, Fred Durst is out there gaming on Twitch? Okay. Like, I love Limp Bizkit, dude. There's a lot of people that, like, I get it if you're younger and you didn't live through that time. And I even get it if you lived through the time but you just didn't like the music. I get it. But nu metal was, like, huge for a very short amount of time. But when it was popular, Limp Bizkit was huge at one point. I love that music.
Can you believe that Linkin Park just celebrated 20 years of Hybrid Theory?
That's insane. Because I remember buying that CD, like, when it was new. Like, we're old, man. It's messed up.
I have an autographed copy CD of Hybrid Theory because they were doing a meet and greet and I worked at an arena, so I literally snuck down into the meet and greet and gave him my CD. I threw my CD case down, that's all I am, and ran down there, got them to sign it. So I have Chester's signature downstairs in my basement right now.
There you go. R.I.P. to Chester. Kogan says, have you guys seen the documentary called You Cannot Kill David Arquette? I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but apparently it's absolutely incredible. Like, it documents his recent run out on the indie scene. I literally have it on, like, I think it's on Amazon Prime, I want to say. It's definitely on one of the streaming services I have, and I have it, like, on my list to watch. I just haven't watched it yet. Have you checked that out yet, Pat, or heard about it?
No, I haven't. I've heard of it, but I haven't got a chance to.
Yeah.
I'm more excited to watch Sean's interview with Danhausen. I saw the whole video of him going through Wrestling Pro Tees and yelling at everybody saying, why don't I Danhausen have a t-shirt? Where's my Danhausen t-shirt? I was like, that's just genius. I'm just waiting for them to do something like in Impact or have him come up and just run around WWE and say, take over and stuff like a show and just ran right out.
Dude, I'm happy to see his success. He was one of those guys that I got to watch when he was early in, like before he was this character or anything. He was like, when I first started watching, I've seen him wrestle without the face paint, but even when he started doing the face paint, he was like more of like a Darby Allin type character. Like, he would literally come to like drag himself to the ring in a body bag and stuff. Like, he was like a really dark, very Darby Allin style character. And then when he flipped and started becoming a comedy guy, and like, he has like that whole, like, he does like a bag of teeth he collects and all this weird stuff that he does. He's gotten so over from the character change, and he does stuff with Warhorse, their tag team Warhausen, and all that stuff. So like, dude, I'm big on Danhausen, and he's doing stuff with Ring of Honor right now. So I mean, there's, it's good, like. It's good to see that he's getting recognition right now, because he's been good for quite a while.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. He does like in AEW. He runs around and goes after Matt Hardy. Be like, Danhausen took your idea. Danhausen does it. It's just gonna be so awesome.
One thing they're gonna have to do is like, and I think AEW would do this, but I don't think WWE would. Because AEW, we've seen the way that they'll license music for like the Brody Lee tribute and for Jungle Boy getting Tarzan Boy as his theme and all this stuff. Big part of Danhausen's character is the song Tequila. Like, he comes out and dances to Tequila on the ring apron and like kicks people in the head during his matches. So, like, they'd have to figure a way of getting that song, I think. But I think AEW would actually just go ahead and just buy the rights to it so he could use it if he was to come in.
It'd just be something funny. Him and all of a sudden managing Darby Allin, and literally he says Danhausen and Darby Allin. Oh, God. There's so much you could do with it.
We got some more people in the chat now. It's nice. I think people are trickling more in because the connection's actually, like, the connection's perfect now. I don't know what the hell happened earlier in this show. We were dealing with, like, video issue. But Kogan, thanks for joining the chat. Says he has to leave. But yeah, Kogan, thanks for joining. Always good to see you in here. I'll probably be on here like maybe tomorrow or the day after and stuff too. So Kogan, hopefully you're around so you can check the chat out the rest of the week. Eric Clark says, "Sup? How's your day going?" We're both chilling, just having a good time talking wrestling. Eric, good to see you back in here. Jackson Alonso says hi. Welcome back, Jackson. A lot of loyal viewers in here right now. And Magnificent Matt, who I think might be a new viewer. I apologize if you've been in and I've missed you before, but welcome to the chat, Magnificent Matt. He says, Limp Bizkit were great. Significant Other and Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water were awesome. Those were two great albums. And it's funny that you mentioned Significant Other and Chocolate Starfish, because my favorite Limp Bizkit album is... Actually, yeah, it is Significant Other. $3 Bill Y'all was their original with Faith, and that's what got me into them, but I think Significant Other was my favorite. Although, Chocolate Starfish has My Way and a lot of really real classic songs, too. It's tough. Do you have a favorite Limp Bizkit album? Or a favorite Limp Bizkit song?
There's a song on an album that didn't get a lot of hype. It's called Propaganda. It's literally just old school Limp Bizkit, kind of going right in your face and stuff. I like that.
Hell yeah.
But Sour is a really good song. Counterfeit was really good.
That's great.
You know, some of the stuff they did with Korn was really good. Outside with Stained on the Family Values tour was really good that they both did. I mean, for me, I liked Limp Bizkit a lot. I liked Korn a lot, but I was more into like Stained, early Stained with Mud Shovel and stuff. So many good. I got really lucky. I got lucky to see Limp Bizkit as the headliner, and the co-headliner was Kid Rock with Joe C still alive.
Oh.
And the opening act was Stained, and that's when Mud Shovel and Home came out too. So I was just like, I was in heaven. I begged my boss when I worked at the arena to work that show.
Dude, that's awesome. I would have loved to. I got to see Kid Rock live, but it was after Joe C had passed away. So what they did was, like, during his parts of songs, like, they'd all, like, look up. They'd all stop what they were doing, and everyone would look up at the big screen. It would be Joe C on the big screen. You know, I'm J-O-C to the... J-O-E to the C-ho. Got more game than Coleco. Like, yeah, man, that was... Oh, love those days.
Yeah, we're old.
Yeah, we're definitely old. I know. We are definitely showing our age right now, but those were the days, man. And Stained was... I love Stained, too. The lead singer, was it Aaron Lewis? Was that his name?
Yeah, he's doing country music now.
And it's good. It's really good. Yeah. He has that one song. It's been out for years, but Chad Mendez used to come out to it in the UFC, and it was awesome. It's like this kind of the slow, dark kind of country song. It was man, yeah. That guy was super talented. I'm glad he's still around doing country because I like Stained a lot.
There's a song he does with his daughter, Zoe Jean, called "Traveling Soldier," and that's just so good too.
Hell yeah, man! I'm gonna listen to some Aaron Lewis when I get off of here today. It's been way too long.
It's on my list on my Pandora.
There you go. Let's see. Anything else that the chat is saying or anything we can talk about before we get out of here? Anything else on your mind that you want to talk about before we talk about the sponsors and stuff?
No, not really. I mean, I'm just excited for this pay-per-view for one thing. I'm just excited to see what happens with the new channel. I'm waiting for somebody to get his Twitch back on.
Oh, me? Yeah. Dude, I actually talked to... So the plan, just for everybody to know, you probably know this already, but the plan over at the Fightful Twitch channel, Now, I have my own personal channel as well, which I'll talk about here in a second. But over on Fightful Switch channel, the plan every Tuesday going forward is me and Joel Pearl doing watch-alongs. Jeremy Lambert will probably be with us every other week. And we may have a revolving third join us, or it may just be me and Joel. Luckily for me, that's up to Joel. So like I just know that I'm just showing up on Tuesdays, and I don't have to do anything more than that, and I like that. But on my personal channel, I was just telling them too, like I'll be doing more hopefully with the Fightful Gaming channel, especially when Retromania Wrestling comes out, because that's coming out later this month. But if you don't see me playing it over on the Fightful channel, there's a good chance I'll be live on my channel, because I am going to be playing a lot more on Twitch when Retromania comes out. So I'll probably do a little bit of switching off between Retromania and Fall Guys. Will be like my two main games for a little while, I think, when I'm back at it. But thank you for always, plugging my Twitch. You're like the only person who's ever like, I'm talking about the stuff I'm doing, and you'll be like, don't forget the Twitch. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, check out my Twitch also.
But also mine's going to be start going because I connected my laptop to my Xbox now. So I'm going to start playing. They updated the campaign mode for Jedi Fallen Order. So they added more stuff to it. So I'm probably going to start playing that. I got halfway through Gears and I dropped it because that Fallen Order came out. So I'm going to start playing with that. And Anakin JMT wants to get on that. I mean, there's not really that many games that I want to play right now, and I'm waiting to get the new Xbox to go get Valhalla. I'm waiting for more titles to come out beforehand. But I mean, I'm gonna see if I can get Titanfall played again, if that's still running up on their service, which I doubt it. But there's so many games. I still have Odyssey for Assassin's Creed I haven't played yet. There's certain games I haven't had time to play. So we'll see. I'm going to try to get an Elgato, and I'm going to hook up the Switch eventually and start playing bowling on the TV.
Dude, so I need to get an Elgato. Like, I think I've talked about it before, but like, obviously anything that I play through my PC, I can just broadcast, through Steam. So that's always easy. But then because I have Windows 10, I can AirPlay my Xbox One. So like, I can play Xbox One games no problem on here. But I need a game capture for everything else that I have. And I have the Switch, and that would be fun to play some bowling on there. I never even thought about doing anything like that. I could like set my camera up in my living room and be like standing and playing. That would be kind of fun.
The other thing I'm going to try doing is I have Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I finished the storyline, and now it's just the side quests and the DLC stuff, so I might hop on that, but I'm so far behind on gaming because I've been doing shows and paying attention to everything else right now. So now everything's slowing down and settling down right now.
Sure.
So my vacation, I might just start streaming on Twitch for like once a day for an hour just to get the time up and all that stuff.
Yeah, and me and for anyone listening, me and Throwback have talked about doing some Uno on there too. Like, we were going to do that earlier this week, and then I wound up getting busy with, work stuff. But Magnificent Matt says, all good, man, no worries. I tweeted you and Doug a few times, giving you props on your videos. Coming to you from Newfoundland, Canada.
Dang.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Matt. And we're hoping to do, me and Doug want to do more stuff on a regular basis, especially over on his channel. It's hard because he has kids and a wife and a lot of stuff going on, and when we want to do our shows is usually going to be Saturday mornings / afternoons, and if his kids are busy and stuff, it's easy, but if he has to be in dad mode, it's just really hard for us to do stuff on a regular basis. But me and him were hoping to do a show this Saturday, so you might see us on his channel on Saturday, Matt. But I love doing chats with Doug. So thanks for the shout out and the props that you gave us, Matt. Much appreciated. Let's see. Is there anything else in the chat that y'all want to talk about? Like, if once again a super chat or donation, we will make sure to deep dive on it. I need to have Throwback's going to disappear off the screen here for just a second. Well, actually, you know what? I don't need to do that. I'm going to just have this disappear for a second. I need to pull up our sponsors and make sure I don't leak any of my personal information on Facebook in the process. Throwback, let everybody know a little bit more about kind of what you got going on, or where to follow you and all that before I get into my stuff here.
Every 8 o'clock, youtube.com/throwback27. Wicked Crazy Pinfalls every Tuesday night. It was fun last night. Aaron Entertainment, and we had a surprise guest that popped out of nowhere from the Fightful family, Mr. Rob, your boy Wilkins.
Nice.
He got finished dark, and he's like, nope, don't sign off. Don't do it. So he popped in for a few moments, and Bluegrass Jeff, we were talking about, fantasy sports too, talking about wrestling and everything. It's basically, like we did here, we just basically shooting the shit, having fun, and just, being old farts and being silly at times. The podcast is doing really well for the Saturday shows that I record. This week there won't be any podcast. I'm trying to space them out a little bit just so for the mental aspect of it, so I don't burn myself too quickly. New channel hard launch February 22nd, Wicked Crazy Crew TV. Your boy Rob Wilkins is going to do a soft launch. That's going to be awesome. The time will be up soon on everybody's Twitter, and then the Twitch channel, just check it out. YouTube.com Twitch.tv. It's so different to say. /throwback978, and then the same thing with the Twitter handle. It's throwback978. So I'm literally, I think last time I checked, I'm 2 subscriptions on YouTube from 220, and then I'm like 80 away from 1,000 followers. I think, I can't tell, around 80. So I mean, I want to get to 1,000 eventually. That would be great.
There you go. All good stuff. You can see Throwback's Twitter page right here on the screen. So make sure to shoot him a follow. And as I've talked about a little bit earlier, I'll probably actually edit in like a little bit of an ad before the show on the audio version of this. But WrestleRumble.com, they have multiple contests going on right now. Or I should say 1 contest and 1 raffle. So for the belt raffle, I'll talk about that, and then I'll talk about Elimination Chamber. So we have insane prizes, as always, at WrestleRumble.com. They absolutely rule. Because of the lag issues in the chat and stuff, I wasn't able to give away the entries yet on this show because I don't know what... I feel like when I'm talking, they're not hearing this for like a minute or two. So it's hard to give stuff away when I don't know who's actually in right now. Just stay up to date on my Twitter. I'll give away 2 entries on my Twitter. If you're watching this show or you're listening, literally just message me, just mention me on Twitter, just at @FightTalk_. I want a Wrestle Rumble entry, something like that. The first 2 people I see do that, I'll give you a free entry. That simple. As far as on the website, we have a raffle. It's $1, and there's going to be 1 winner. So for $1, 1 person is going to win an AEW World Title, a TNT World Title, a set of Tag Team Championships for AEW, and the FTW title. So there's 5 belts on the line for $1. If you're a wrestling fan, especially if you're an AEW fan, you got to do this. $1. You can put as many entries in there as you want. Some people throw in, $5, $10, $20. I'm sure there's some people who put in even more because you gotta figure they had to get all these belts custom made because AEW doesn't sell these yet. So we're probably talking like at least $400 a belt, or give or take $300 to $400 probably per belt, if not more. So huge value for $1. Check it out at WrestleRumble.com. And then, of course, today we talked about Elimination Chamber, and they have the contest for that. The way you can enter, you got $10 for 1 entry, $20 for 3 entries, $30 for 5 entries. And what the prizes are going to be: first place, $1,000 cash. That's a lot of money. A lot of money for knowing about professional wrestling. Second and third place are both getting $100. So there's a total of $1,200 on the line. You could potentially win all 3 of those. If you do 3 entries and you get the top 3 places, you could walk away with all this money. Or throw in $10. You got a shot at $1,000, total. So check this out. Be a part of it. The prizes are always incredible. Always a fan of everything they got going on at WrestleRumble.com. Check out their website and make sure to follow them on social media at WrestleRumble to stay up to date with all their contests and their raffles. Shout out to my brother Brian Jensen. This is his Instagram page. Give him a follow. Boxing ATL, BOXING ATL. He can help you reach your goals. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get in better shape, if you want to compete at any amateur or professional level, if you have any kind of neurological issue like Parkinson's disease, for instance. My brother is fully certified to work with Parkinson's patients. He owns a gym in Atlanta, Georgia, where he can help you just in general or help you learn self-defense. Whatever you're looking to do, he can help you reach your goals. Just shoot him a follow on Instagram at BoxingATL, BOXING ATL. And as you can see here, there's some videos here of him, just training some, regular people in the gym. This is actually him and his co-owner hitting pads, actually. This is one of his Parkinson's classes where he's showing exercises where you can throw a tennis ball against the wall, clap behind your back, catch the ball with your other hand, and it really helps with dexterity and neurological issue. All over the place. This is, a different part of the gym, a different gym altogether. He'll help you outside in a park, at your business. It doesn't matter. This is one of his fighters winning a trophy. All good stuff. And because I no longer work with MMA on Point, I can no longer access Instagram. And that just popped up. So check him out at Boxing ATL. Support Brian Jensen. And lastly, we have Music City Toys and Collectibles, and I actually have an ad read from them this time. Let me see how this goes. Normally I just wing it, but let me see what Music City Toys and Collectibles has for me here. Founded in 2002, formerly known as Heroes and Legends, Music City Toys and Collectibles is your southern fried source for vintage and modern toys, autographed memorabilia, and all things pop culture. Visit their new retail location opening May 1st at 101 West Main Street in Waterton, Kentucky. Sorry, Waterton, Tennessee. Kentucky, where did that come from? Waterton, Tennessee. Keep up to date with all their special in-store signings, online sales, and convention appearances at musiccitytoys.biz, and follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Music City Toys. So that was a great ad read they sent me. That's actually way better than what I normally say. Speaking of their new location, this is some news that I don't think I've talked about yet. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be there live at their grand opening on May 1st in Waterton, Tennessee. I don't know why I said Kentucky a second ago, but Waterton, Tennessee. I'll be there live. They have a special guest planned to be there to sign autographs and stuff, and I don't want to spoil that because I don't think they've announced who that is yet, but I should be interviewing that person, and it's somebody who has had a prominent career in both mixed martial arts and professional wrestling. So it's going to be a big announcement. I can't wait to do that. And I love Music City Toys and Collectibles. They're nice people. They give you fair business. Check them out on all social media and, get some stuff from them. Awesome people, awesome products. So check it out. That's everything that I've got. You can follow me on Twitter at @FightTalk_. Listen to the Fightful Select Weekender podcast, all that good stuff. And, just keep an eye out for the stuff I got going on and the stuff I'm working on. But anything left from you, Pat, before we sign off?
No, we're good.
I'm good. We're good. We'll see y'all. I don't know when I'll be on here next. Probably tomorrow. So just keep an eye on my Twitter because that's usually when I'll let people know when I'm going live. And see you next time.